Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers with your host Bang and Dang, and we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. Mafia of the month is over. Just did Carlo Gambino, so if you're a Mafia fan, you know who you are. Go check out that episode up now. But like I said, I guess, is it true crime?
Is what true crime?
What this be? I guess it's true and crime, but usually true crimes are like murder mysteries and shit. But this is a school shooting.
Oh, man.
I've done a few of these before, but this one's more recent. And probably one of the worst mess-ups by police officers of all time.
Mess up with quotation marks.
Well, right. But either way. Biggest display of pussiness, I would say, anyways.
Ridiculous.
Talking about the Uvalde.
And it was another one of those towns where they had a drill like the day before or that same day, wasn't it?
Oh, we shall get to that.
Oh, my.
Robb Elementary School shooting, May 24, 2002 in Uvalde. 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, who was a former student at the school, fatally shot 19 students, 2 teachers, 17 others injured.
Jeez.
Yes, sir. And this was, what was it? It was just after the Buffalo shooting, wasn't it? Because the Buffalo shooting was like a week prior. And of course, you already know what happens after one of these shootings, especially nowadays. The old gun control lobbyists start flocking to Twitter as soon as it happens.
Wasn't it the
It was the one where
Walmart one?
It was a local grocery store. Walmart one was...
Where that black guy got shot that invented the steam-powered engine or whatever?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Walmart one was El Paso, I want to say.
Indiana, too.
It's hard to keep up. But, yeah, we'll get that story today. It's a long one. And obviously, we'll see the mess-up that happened here. And the coincidences that always seem to occur right before these events. So if you're in a town that's having your cops are practicing shooting drills and shit like that, just be prepared.
Right.
Because usually follows a couple weeks after. Yeah. In the meantime, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. Post faux episodes of all of our shows, as well as clips, shorts, and our YouTube exclusive Dart League. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, give us a review, share us with your friends, and on Spotify, answer that question that accompanies every episode. Uvalde, Hispanic majority city of about 15,000 people in the South Texas region, located about 60 miles east of the Mexico border, about 85 miles west of San Antonio. 2022, about 90% of Robb Elementary School's 600 students in the 2nd through 4th grades were Hispanic. About 81% of the student population came from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Oh. On the day of the shooting, there had been an award ceremony at the school as well. So must have been after the parents left, right? That doesn't make sense, because usually after award ceremony, especially, it was like, when was it? May, so it was the end of the school year.
Right.
And especially after like award ceremony, usually a lot of kids go home with their parents that day.
Right.
But I guess not, huh?
They had it like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
City of Uvalde spent 40% of its municipal budget on its police department 2019-20 fiscal year. And USCISD, the school district operating Robb Elementary School, had multiple security measures in place at the time.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Department.
Too long?
Had a 6-officer police department responsible for security at the district's 8 schools.
Well, it's 2 less than you have schools, but okay.
Right. It had also more than doubled its expenditures on security measures in the 4 years preceding the shooting. In the year 2021, it expanded its police force from 4 to 6 officers.
Okay, so it seems to me they're well prepared, huh?
Supposed to be.
Well, the state of Texas has given the school district a $69,141 grant to improve security measures as part of a $100 million statewide allocation made after the 2018 Santa Fe high school shooting, in which 10 people were slain in that one.
Right.
The district also had a security staff that patrolled door entrances and parking lots at secondary school campuses. Since 2020, Pedro Pete Arredondo had served as the school district's police chief. I've never heard of a school district having its own police, first of all.
Must be a pretty bad little town.
Right. The school and school district had extensive security measures in place at this time.
Supposedly. The school used Social Sentinel, a software service that monitors the school media accounts of students and other Uvalde-affiliated people to identify any threats that could be made against students or staff that happens online. The district's written security plan noted the use of Raptor visitor management system in schools to scan visitor identity documents and check them against watch lists.
Dude, this had to have been a shitty-ass area.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And they did that, and also they had the use of two-way radios.
Okay, so walkie-talkies.
Right. Fence enclosures around campus as well.
Jeez.
School threat assessment teams, and a policy of locking the doors of classrooms.
Wow.
So, I mean, holy shit. It's like a
They had like every measurement in place that they could.
You ain't kidding.
And, well, we'll get to it, but somehow one of the doors to the classrooms
Right.
remained open, but okay.
Propped open or something.
Right. According to the report released by the Texas House of Representatives July 17th, although the official school policy was for the exterior and interior doors to remain locked, staff members would often unlock or open doors due to a lack of keys. Additionally, some employees were desensitized to
They got all this security measures in place, but they don't have enough keys.
Right.
The easiest thing to get is keys.
You can literally go to fucking Menards and do the
Right.
get a key for $3.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, geez. Additionally, some employees were desensitized to the intruder alert system, as it was almost always used for incidents of an undocumented migrant in the area running from the police.
Oh, geez.
That's probably why. Two, this alarm that's inside the building's going off probably 5-6 times a week. And they're just like, oh, it's probably just another one of those illegals running around town.
Running around.
Oh,
Poor guys are just hungry.
Oh, my.
The UCISD held joint security training exercises in August of 2020, along with the Uvalde Police Department, the Uvalde County Sheriff's Department, and other local law enforcements. They were all there, and they don't specify what type of training exercise. Just a security training exercise.
Yeah.
UCISD also hosted an active shooter scenario training exercise in March of 2022.
There we go. So 2020. Yeah, that was like 2 years before.
Right, and then
Just a couple months, right?
Which covered a range of topics such as solo responses to active shooters, first aid and evacuation, and scenarios enacted through role-playing. The exercise also covered the ability to compare and contrast an active shooter situation voices a barricaded subject or hostage crisis, where an armed person isolates themselves with limited to no ability to harm others. Okay, so there's a plan for all that, huh?
A hostage crisis where an armed person isolates themselves with limited to no ability to harm others? That wouldn't be a hostage situation.
No, I think they
just barricaded themselves.
Right.
Okay. Well, the March 2022 training materials for the school district police said time is the number one enemy during active shooter response. The best hope that innocent victims have is that officers immediately move into action to isolate, distract, or neutralize the threat, even if that means one officer acting alone.
You ain't kidding.
The materials also put forth the position that a first responder unwilling to place the lives of the innocent above their own safety should consider another career field.
Oh, they say all that, but the video says otherwise.
Right.
Wow. 24th of May, year 2022. Salvador Ramos and his 66-year-old grandmother had an argument over his failure to graduate from high school at their home in Uvalde, during which he shot her in the face and then took her black 2008 Ford F-150. Wow. I thought they said that was his truck.
No.
She survived, though, and got help from neighbors while police officers were called in. Dang, she survived? She was then airlifted to a hospital in San Antonio in critical condition. Ramos, using his Facebook account, sent 3 private messages to a 15-year-old girl from Germany who he met online prior to the shooting. The first to say that he was going to shoot his grandma, and the second to say that he had shot his grandma, and the third, and about 15 minutes before shooting, to say that he was going to open fire in that elementary school, and no responses.
Well, that retarded girl replied, cool. Well, yeah. Later, she faced trial in Frankfurt and was found guilty of failing to report planned crimes. She was issued a warning and was required to undergo educational measures. A spokesperson for Meta, which is Facebook, said the posts were private one-to-one text messages discovered after the shooting, obviously.
Right.
Ramos crashed his grandmother's truck through a barricade. Well, she probably didn't think he was
Right.
serious, right? He crashed his grandmother's truck through a barricade and into a concrete ditch outside Robb Elementary School at 11:28 a.m. local time, and proceeded to scale a fence and enter the school grounds.
Jeez, man. According to the Popo, he wore a tactical vest for carrying ammo. That did not include ballistic protection or armor insert panels. He had a backpack, all black clothing, carrying an AR-15 style rifle, which wasn't an AR-15.
An AR-15 style rifle.
Right, it wasn't. And 7 30-round magazines. He brought into the school only one of the 2 rifles that he had that legally bought. You had to put that in there, didn't you? And he left the other one in the crash truck. A witness said he first fired at 2 people at a nearby funeral home, both of whom escaped uninjured. Police reported receiving 911 calls about a vehicle having crashed near the school. After hearing about the 911 call, a school resource officer drove to the school's campus and pursued a teacher whom the officer erroneously believed to be the gunman, driving past the actual gunman in the process.
Well, then Ramos entered the school through its west-facing entrance door, which had been shut by a teacher who had seen him. The entrance door did not lock, despite being designed to be locked when shut.
What?
Yeah, because it's probably one of those push bar doors, and you can lock it so the bar doesn't have to be pushed. The school department, or the school district's police chief, estimated that the shooting began at 11:32. According to a Facebook post by the school was placed in lockdown at 11:43 in response to gunshots heard in the vicinity.
Oh, my.
The shooting began, and it was 11 minutes before they went into a lockdown.
Holy shit. 11:40 a.m., teacher in room 102 reached a 911 dispatcher after trying but not getting through 3 times. The teacher told the dispatcher that she could hear gunshots in a nearby classroom. A report released on the 6th of July found that an officer had aimed his rifle at Ramos before he entered the school, but did not fire because he was awaiting his supervisor's permission. No, what did
You
the
just had
thing
the
say?
fucking training thing.
It clearly told you. You are your own boss right here, bud. You gotta stop this shit at all costs. After entering the building, Ramos walked down 2 short hallways and then entered a classroom that was internally connected to another classroom. Oh, shit.
Well, unfortunately, all these fatalities took place in these adjoining classrooms, which were rooms 111 and 112. Survivor of the shooting said that as teacher Irma Garcia attempted to lock the door to the classroom, he shot the door's window. Well, what good is it having a locked door policy if you have windows? Then backed Garcia into the classroom and said goodnight, and he shot and killed her. Jeez. Another survivor recounted that Ramos said, "You're all going to die," after entering the classroom. He then opened fire on the rest of the students and another teacher in the room. According to a surviving student, Ramos played sad music during the massacre.
Jeez, what a dink.
The fuck?
Holy shit. Most of the shooting occurred inside the building within the first few minutes. Ramos inside the classroom for over an hour, while armed police remained outside the classroom and building. So stupid. Dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Multiple students played dead while the shooting took place, including one student, 11-year-old Maya Sorello, who smeared herself with the blood of a man. Wow. Smeared herself with the blood of one of her dead classmates to give credence to the subterfuge?
To fake that.
Right. According to a student who hid in an adjoining classroom, Ramos came in and slightly crouched down, saying, "It's time to die," before opening fire. Jeez.
Afterward, a responding officer called out, "Yell if you need help."
Oh, what the fuck?
Oh, what a fucking idiot. A girl in the adjoining classroom said, "Help." Ramos heard the girl, entered the classroom, and shot her. Students said that the officer then barged into the classroom, and Ramos fired at the officer, causing more officers to return fire. Arnolfo Reyes, a teacher in classroom 111 who received multiple gunshot wounds, recalled he instructed his students to get under the table and act like you're asleep. Ramos then arrived and shot him before firing indiscriminately around classroom 111.
Jeez. And these cops, they just gave up shooting?
Yes.
Reyes said he didn't hear talk for a while, but later on, Ramos unleashed a second round of gunfire at students, and Reyes said if he didn't get them the first time, he got them the second time. All 11 students in classroom 111 during the shooting died. Reyes pretended to be unconscious on the floor, but Ramos then shot him again. According to Reyes, he heard law enforcement approach his classroom from what sounded like the hallway 3 times, but they did not ever enter. During one of these occasions, he heard a student from the adjoining classroom 112 saying, "Officer, we're in here. And those officers didn't do a damn fucking thing. If you guys watch the video, it's the most stupidest shit I've ever seen in my whole damn life, and none of them got any type of fucking anything.
People got fired.
Did they?
Well, Unfortunately for this student, as law enforcement had already left, Reyes said Ramos walked over there and he shot again. Reyes later heard law enforcement telling Ramos to come out of the classroom to talk, saying they did not want to hurt anyone. Separately, Reyes said in past security checks, the classroom 111 door that was meant to be locked during lessons remained unlocked because the latch was stuck, and that he had told the principal about this issue.
Male student, classroom 109, said that around 15 minutes after shooting began, the gunman approached classroom 109's door and pulled its handle, but his teacher had jammed the door after hearing gunfire. The gunman shot through the door's glass window, striking another student and a fourth grade teacher in the classroom 109, and then he left. With a Texas official stating that the gunman had briefly returned into the hallway after entering classrooms 111, 112, without specifying what time it occurred. The Washington Post reported that this is likely when those in room 109 were shot at, before the gunman returned to classrooms 111 and 112.
They don't have windows in these classrooms?
All right, get the hell out of here. What the hell?
Officers arrived 3 minutes after Ramos entered the school and approached rooms 111 and 112, but they retreated after he fired at him, which 2 officers got injured. Officers were not successful in establishing negotiations. Police lines set up outside of Robb Elementary School. United States Marshals Service deputies drove nearly 70 miles to the school and arrived at 12:10 p.m., where they helped officers initially confront the shooter, render first aid, and secure the perimeter. 12:17, the school district sent out a message on Twitter that there was an active shooter at the elementary school. Just fucking an hour and a half later, right? No, it was 11:28. The school shooting started. Idiots, dude.
This is just retarded. The school's district police chief, Pedro Arredondo, he determined that the situation had transitioned from an active shooter to a barricaded subject. It's still an active shooter.
Erroneously, so clearly wasn't true.
According to the Texas Department of Public Safety, that's what Pedro said. With Ramos thought to be contained, officials believed they had bought enough time to bring in tactical units. No. According to Uvalde County Judge Bill Mitchell, teacher Eva Morales from inside and adjoining classrooms where the shooter was called her husband Ruben Ruiz, a Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District officer who was outside the school.
Oh, geez, your wife's in there and you're standing out there?
Right, and he had kids in there too,
There were some that had kids, yes.
Get your ass in there. What the hell's going on?
According to DPS Director Stephen McCraw, during the call, Morales told Ruiz that she had been shot and was dying. When Ruiz tried to move forward into the hallway, he was detained by the fellow law enforcement, and they took his gun away from him and escorted him off the scene.
That's bullshit.
What a bunch of fucking pussies. Morales eventually died from her gunshot wounds. Oh, dude, if I was that guy. After the police cordoned off the school, the outside of the school, parents pleaded with officers to enter the building. When they did not, parents offered to enter the building themselves. Like, I'll fucking go in there.
Right, you
they should have just went in there.
Oh, man, morons. Officers held back and tackled parents who tried to enter the school, further warning that they would use tasers if the parents did not comply with directions. Wow. Video clips of these interactions were uploaded to social media, including one that depicted a parent being pinned to the ground. I mean, what do you expect these guys to do? Let them go. No, they're fucking kids. They ain't yours, you little pussies. Police pepper sprayed a parent trying to get to their child. An officer tackled the father of another student. Police reportedly used a taser on a parent who approached a bus to get their child. A mother of 2 students at the school was placed in handcuffs by officers for attempting to enter the school. They're so worried about these parents when they could have been going inside there and taking care of this situation. Idiots.
Well, good for her, because when she was released from the handcuffs, she jumped the fence and retrieved her children, exiting before police entered.
Jeez.
Video clip showed parents questioning why police were not trying to save their children, to which an officer replies, because I'm having to deal with you.
No, you're not. If you get going to do it. Jeez.
United States Border Patrol Tactical Unit agent rushed to the scene after receiving a text message from his wife, who was a teacher there. Prior to this, the agent had been off duty. The agent immediately set out with a shotgun his barber had lent him. Damn, look at this guy. And arrived on the scene approximately an hour after first responders. I bet you he went up there and did some shit.
Well, he proceeded to help evacuate children. Contrary to online rumors and social media posts, he did not enter the school or kill the shooter, which they said that he ran in and did. Right. Additional BORTAC agents arrived, but they did not have a battering ram or other breaching tools. Why do they need a breaching tool? So a U.S. Marshal on the scene provided agents with a ballistic shield. Ramos stayed in the classroom for another hour. hiding behind a steel door. The officers said that they could not open until they obtained a master key from the janitor. And where's the janitor?
Every school I've ever been to, there's a janitor on fucking duty right there.
Right there.
Why don't they have the key? Holy shit. However, there's evidence the door was never locked. Oh, jeez. After the door was open, a BORTAC agent entered the room holding the shield, followed by 2 other BORTAC agents, a Border Patrol search, trauma, and rescue agent, and at least 1 sheriff's deputy. Ramos reportedly opened fire at the group from a closet in the room before officials returned fire and killed him.
Finally.
You know, when this was all happening, there was multiple official news stations and shit saying that the kid was in custody and shit.
Right.
Before any of this happened, so who knows what really happened.
An interview by the Texas Tribune published on the 9th of June, 2022, Uvalde School District Police Chief at the time, Pedro Arredondo, said he arrived at the school thinking he was the first law enforcement officer on the scene. He claimed he abandoned his police and campus radios because he wanted his hands free to shoot the gunman. Instead, he also thought the radios would slow him down. He said one radio's antenna would hit him when he ran, while the other radio was prone to falling off his belt when he ran, and that he knew from experience that the radios did not work in some of the school buildings. What?
So why are we using these, guys? Holy shit, this just gets worse and worse.
You ain't kidding.
It goes on.
This is just sickening.
Well, Arredondo said he was unaware of 911 calls being made from the classrooms the gunman was in because he did not have a radio and no one told him. You're the police fucking chief of this thing. The other officers in the school hallway were not in radio communication either. In the Texas Tribune interview, Arredondo said that he did not consider himself as the incident commander for the law enforcement. Instead, his role was a frontline responder, with him assuming someone else was in command.
Doesn't matter. You guys' own little training exercise says it doesn't matter. You're there, take care of shit.
This dude is the police chief of the school district. Why wouldn't you be in charge?
Of course, especially if you don't have a radio, you're in charge, bud. You have no contact with any other police force.
And even if you're not in charge, you're still a head guy. Wouldn't you go to see who's in charge if you didn't think that? Fucking moron, dude.
Ridiculous.
The National Incident Management System, which guides all levels of government and how to respond to mass emergency events, says the first person on the scene is the incident commander.
Obviously.
He said he believed, but he said didn't. Wait. So now he's not even making sense. He said he thought he was the first one on the scene.
Right.
So in that case, he would have thought he had command. Dude's
dumb.
Wow.
DPS officials have described Arredondo as the incident commander and identified him as giving the order to treat the situation as a barricaded subject. Wow. Arredondo said that he attempted to open the door to the classroom 111, while a Uvalde Police Department officer tried the door at 112, but both were locked. You liar. According to Arredondo, the classroom door had a steel jamb that prevented law enforcement from easily breaching it. Later reporting indicated these doors were not, in fact, locked at all. They didn't want to go in there because they were pussies.
Wow. Arredondo was aware the gunman was firing from within the classroom and that some shots had grazed police officers. According to Arredondo, he and the other officers in the school hallway did their best to remain quiet, only whispering to each other, fearing that if the gunman heard them, he would shoot at them. He's in there. Fuck you guys. Why are you? Got the badge on, dude.
Yeah, so let them shoot little kids instead of shoot at us who we can actually defend ourselves.
Right.
You dumb bastards.
He spent over an hour in the hallway, which he held back from the classroom, doors for 40 minutes to avoid attracting gunfire. Arredondo said that during the wait for door breaching tools, he tried to talk to the gunmen through the walls to establish rapport, but got no response.
Wow. This is just ridiculous, stupid shit. Also, the Texas Tribune interview, he said that he was provided with 6 keys, which he tried on a door adjacent to the room where the gunman was, but none opened that door. He stated he later received another 20 to 30 keys, which also did not work. So you tell me all those damn keys. Get the fuck out of here. And that eventually other officers called his cell phone to inform him that they had obtained a suitable key. Arredondo denied cowardice and incompetence, stating that law enforcement's objective was to save as many lives as we could. You didn't try to save any.
You literally saved none.
And the extraction of the students from the classrooms by all that were involved saved over 500 of our Uvalde students and teachers before we gained access to the shooter and eliminated the threat, he said. You lying cunts. You could have easily, I'm sure a couple of them would have, but not all of those. Wow, didn't want them to
Dude, the fucking cop saw the kid before he walked into the school.
Right. Did nothing.
Wow, man. Well, let's take a run through real quick of this timeline of that we just summed up. As of June 19th, 2022, for some reason, well, still to this day, there are multiple disputes about the timeline. Around 11:01, he shoots his grandma, then goes to attack the school. 11:28, he crashes into the ditch, exits the vehicle, armed, leaving one rifle by the truck. He begins firing, 11:30, first 911 call. 11:31, Ramos initiates gunfire with some bullets penetrating classroom windows a minute later. Same time, a USISD officer arrives at the school, having heard the 911 call. He drives past the gunman and misidentifies the teacher as the gunman.
Stupid.
11:33, Ramos enters the school through its west entrance door, walks through the hallway, shoots into interconnected rooms, proceeds to fire over 100 rounds in 4 minutes within the two classrooms.
Jeez.
11:35, 3 Uvalde police officers arrive with 2 rifles, enter the school from its west entrance door. They're followed 8 seconds later by another 3 Uvalde police officers and 1 school district officer.
Got 7 guys in there.
Right. 11:36, 1 minute later, within 5 seconds of the first officer's entry, the school chief, Arredondo, along with another school district officer and 2 more Uvalde officers, enter the school through its south entrance.
Oh.
11:37, Ramos gunfire grazes 2 officers in the hallway.
And they all run like little bitches.
11:40, Arredondo calls the UPD landline stating, "We have him in the room. He's got an AR-15. He shot a lot. We don't have firepower right now. It's all pistols. I don't have a radio. I need you to bring a radio for me and give me my radio for me. I need to get 1 rifle. I'm trying to set him up." At other times during the call, he says, "I need this building surrounded with as many AR-15s as possible." Why do they keep AR-15s?
Like they're going to say that.
Right. And ask for a police SWAT team to be set up on the south side of the school. 11:41, while on the line with the dispatcher, a Uvalde police officer says, "We believe that he is barricaded in one of the offices. They're still shooting." When asked if the room's door is locked, the officer replies, "I am not sure, but we have a halogen to break it."
Oh.
Jeez. 11:42, a teacher reportedly texts someone to inform them of an active shooter. 11:43, the school announces their lockdown. 11:44, officers request more resources, equipment, body armor.
Students and staff are safe in the building, they added.
Oh, that's what they said, huh?
Oh, my goodness. Due to gunshots in the area, but don't worry, your kids and the staff are just fine.
In the area.
Oh, my.
11:52, a ballistic shield is brought into the school from the west entrance door. A second, third, and fourth ballistic shield are brought into the school at 12:02, 12:03, and 12:20, respectively. So at 11:52, they had a ballistic shield.
Right.
11:58, a DPS agent, special agent states, "If there's kids in there, we need to go in there." To which another law enforcement officer replies, "What's that?" "If there's kids in there, we need to go in there," the DPS special agent repeats. "Whoever is in charge will determine that," an unknown officer says.
Oh, my.
This recorded exchange is included in the release video.
Oh, my goodness.
Jeez. 12:03, 19 law enforcement officers gather in the hallway to the classrooms, but do not enter the classroom.
19 of these sons of bitches couldn't go in there. You know what? If one goes down, so be it.
That's the fucking oath you took.
Oh.
They don't go in because Pedro Arredondo was treating the situation as one with a barricaded subject instead of an active shooter.
Okay.
June 10th, 2022, he told, we already know, he's a piece of shit liar. That same time, a female student calls from classroom 112, identifying herself and the classroom number. She ends the call after 1 minute and 23 seconds. Jeez. 12:10, the first group of deputy U.S. Marshals arrives. The female student from classroom 112 calls 911 a second time. 12:12, Uvalde Police Department's acting chief, Lieutenant Mariano Pargas, is told by an officer of the department that a child called 911 saying the room's full of victims. Pargas then enters the school and tells the officers there, "A child just called that they have victims in there," and then leaves.
Oh, my. What?
12:13, the student in classroom 112 calls 911 a third time, reporting multiple people dead in the classroom.
Jeez, come on. It's just kids like, what the hell are you guys doing?
And they're only in 4th grade. 12:14, Arredondo instructs officers to position a sniper on the east roof. 12:15, some members of the Border Patrol Tactical Unit arrive. 12:16, the student in room 112 calls 911 for a 4th fucking time, reporting that 8 to 9 students are still alive in the classroom. You need to go in then, are you?
Right, dumbasses.
Jeez. Pargas calls his department's dispatchers then and says that the girl's been calling from room 112. The dispatchers tell him. He responds, okay, thanks. In the next 4 minutes, Pargas tells a Border Patrol officer about injured victims, then talks to a Texas Ranger without mentioning children in the classroom with the shooter. Parkins then leaves the school hallway and does not return.
Oh, my.
12:17, the school announces on its Facebook page. Arredondo can be heard on the body camera instructing officers, tell them to fucking wait. No one comes in. 12:19, a student from classroom 111 calls 911, but hangs up when another student tells her to end the call. 12:21, 4 shots are heard from surveillance footage. 12:23, Arredondo says, we've lost 2 kids. These walls are thin. If you start shooting, we're going to lose more kids. I hate to say we have to put this to the side right now. We've lost more than 2 kids, guy.
Right, and you need to get your ass in there.
12:24, he tries to talk to the gunman in English and Spanish. He does so again at 12:38. 12:27, he says people are going to ask why we're taking so long. We're trying to preserve the rest of the life.
No, you're not.
12:28, Arredondo says there is a window over there, obviously. The door is probably going to be locked. That is the nature of this place. I am going to get some more keys to test.
He said probably. He didn't even fucking check the doors.
12:35, that Halligan tool for breaching is brought into the school from the west entrance. 12:36, the student in room 112 calls 911 for a 5th time.
Oh, my God.
Reporting that Ramos has shot a door. She is instructed to stay quiet or stay on the line and be very quiet. 12:41, Arredondo says, just so you understand, we think there are some injuries in there, and so you know what we did. We cleared off the rest of the building so we wouldn't have any more, besides what's already in there, obviously.
Oh, my.
12:43, a student in classroom 112 calls 911 and asks the operator to send the police now.
Yeah.
12:46, the student in classroom 112 says she can hear the police next door. Arredondo says if y'all are ready to do it, you do it, but you should distract him out that window. 12:47, the student in classroom 112 again asked the 911 operator to send the police immediately.
Jeez.
12:48, DPS Captain Joe Betancourt on police radio gives a command to wait. The team that's going to make the breach needs to stand by. The team that's going to breach needs to stand by.
No. Fuck you.
And then at 12:50, that's when the off-duty Border Patrol officers use a janitor's key to unlock the door Ramos has locked, and they enter the classroom.
All that time.
As of June 18th, well, as of now, a conflicting investigative report now states the door was always unlocked.
Always.
Ramos, in a closet, kicks the door open and starts shooting. The officers return fire and kill him.
So dumb. So dumb.
Jeez, dude.
Dumbest shit I ever heard in my life.
All of them. A couple 9-year-olds, mostly 10 and 11-year-olds, and 2 teachers.
Jeez.
That's just ridiculous, dude.
Dumb. Well, the children were in the 4th grade. Teachers taught in the same 4th grade classroom. 18 people injured, 14 children, 1 teacher, perpetrator's grandmother, and 2 police officers. Abbott said the 2 cops were struck by bullets, but had no serious injuries.
Oh, good for fucking them.
Yeah. Several victims died in an ambulance on the way to the hospital, including Morales.
Oh, but, they'd only been laying on the ground
Forever.
bleeding out for an hour.
Stupid. Uvalde Memorial Hospital CEO reported that 11 children and 3 other people were admitted for emergency care following the shooting. 4 were released and 2, described only as male and female, were dead upon arrival. 4 other victims, perpetrator's grandmother and 3 students, were taken to University Hospital in San Antonio.
Oh, that's just what happened at the school. So let's back up a little bit. Who is this little piece of shit guy that they are blaming this on?
Right.
He was born May 16, 2004 in Fargo, North Dakota, of all places. Salvador Rolando Ramos was a resident of Uvalde from an early age and was a former student at that at the Uvalde High School. He also attended Robb Elementary School for 4th grade in the same classroom where he was killed. He was frequently bullied at school due to his stutter, short haircut, and limited wardrobe because his family was poor.
Right, just like 90% of the kids that were there.
Right. We started off the episode by saying 90% literally was disadvantaged kids. So
at one point when he was a child, another student tied his shoelaces together, causing him to fall face down. Lieutenant Chris
classic.
Olivares from Texas DPS claimed that Ramos had no friends. Furthermore, he did not have a criminal record or any documented mental health issues. However, he had searched the term sociopath and received an email about possible treatment. Wow. He signed up on that website or something.
Maybe like BetterHelp.com or something. Not a sponsor.
He had also previously posted violent threats online. School officials at Uvalde High School withdrew him from the school on the 28th of October in 2021 due to his frequent absences. They said he was a waste of space.
Delinquent. Ramos' social media acquaintances said he openly abused and killed animals, such as cats, and would live stream the abuse on Ubo.
Oh, what the frick is Ubo?
Whatever that is. A place where they clearly allowed animal abuse. It was formerly known as Yellow. It's a French social networking app. Wow. 60 million users.
Holy shit.
Other social media acquaintances said that he would live stream himself on Uvalde threatening to kidnap and rape girls who used the app, as well as threatening to commit a school shooting. Ramos' account was reported to Uvalde, but no action was taken.
Of course it wasn't.
Up until a month before the shooting, Ramos worked at a local Wendy's and had been employed there for at least a year.
Look at this guy.
Okay.
Wow. According to the store's night manager, he went out of his way to keep him to himself. One of his co-workers said he was occasionally rude to his female co-workers, to whom he sent inappropriate text messages, and would intimidate co-workers at his job by asking them, "Do you know who I am?" Ramos' co-worker referred to him by the names including school shooter because he had long hair and frequently wore black clothing. Oh, shit.
Oh, jeez. A year before the shooting, Ramos started posting pictures to his Instagram account of semi-automatic rifles that were on his wish list. According to a friend of his, he would often drive around at night with another friend, which I thought he had no friends.
Right.
Shooting at strangers with a BB gun and egging cars. According to a man who was in a relationship with Ramos' mother, Ramos moved out of his mother's house and into his grandparents' house 2 months before the shooting, after an argument broke out between him and his mother over her turning off the Wi-Fi. Yeah, because he was probably just sitting there all day. Like, get a job, dude.
He was working.
Apparently not enough.
People close to Ramos' family described his Mo.
His Mo.
Described his mother as a drug user and said he frequently argued with her. 2 months prior to shooting, he posted a video of himself on Instagram aggressively arguing with his mother and referring to her as a bitch. Ramos' mother described her son as not a monster, but admitted that he could be aggressive. His grandfather said that his grandson did not have a driver's license and did not know how to drive.
Well, explains why he crashed.
Yeah.
According to his father, Ramos had a girlfriend who lived in San Antone.
Really?
Yeah, we all have that. She goes to school in Canada.
He's like, my boy, he got a girlfriend.
May 14th, Ramos sent a private Instagram message reading 10 more days. To who? A person responded, "Are you going to shoot up a school or something?" He replied, "No, stop asking dumb questions. You'll see." Well, it wasn't a dumb question. According to the Texas Department of Public Safety, in September 2021, Ramos asked his older sister to buy him a gun, but she refused.
All right.
May 17th, 2022, a day after his 18th birthday, he legally purchased a Smith & Wesson semi-automatic rifle from a local gun store. You don't have to say semi-automatic rifle. They're all semi-automatic.
Right. Smith & Wesson, huh? He then purchased another rifle 3 days later. Investigators later found that his gun had a Hellfire trigger device, which decreases the time required for the trigger to reset, increasing the possible rate of fire. Ramos sent on Instagram a message to an acquaintance he met through Ubo, which showed the receipt for an AR-15 style rifle, which was purchased from Georgia-based online retailer Daniel Defense 8 days before the shooting. He posted a picture of two rifles on his Instagram account 3 days before the shooting.
Well, just ahead of the shooting, he purchased 1,657 total rounds of ammo, which included 375 rounds of 5.56 NATO ammunition, purchased on May 18th, 2022. What the fuck? NATO's got their own branded ammunition. A total of 315 rounds were found inside the school, consisting of 142 spent cartridges, 173 live. Additionally, a total of 922 rounds were found on school property outside the building, consisting of 22 spent and 900 live. Overall, Ramos fired 164 rounds during the shooting. Police and Border Patrol officers fired a combined total of 35 rounds during the shooting, 8 in the hallway, 27 in the classroom where Ramos was killed. Yeah, as soon as they got in the classroom, and they just fucking was like, oh, we're going to load into this guy. Actually, 27's not even a lot.
Right. Wow.
Considering one guy in Saginaw, I'm going to shot like 48 times.
FBI and Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, are assisting local police in this investigation. Ramos' guns and magazines were recovered by law enforcement for analysts. 2 days after the shooting, state officials said that the Texas Ranger Division was investigating local police's conduct during the incident. Every single one of these guys should be made to look like fucking fools.
Where's, what's his name?
29th of May.
Chuck Norris when you need him.
Right. 29th of May, the United States Department of Justice announced it would review the law enforcement response to the mass shooting at the request of Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin.
After initially praising first responders, Governor Greg Abbott called for an investigation into the lack of initiative displayed by law.
Yes.
May 27th, Abbott said, bottom line would be, why did they not choose a strategy that would have been best to get in there and eliminate the killer to rescue the children?
Right.
June 1st, ABC News, citing multiple unnamed law enforcement sources, reported that the Uvalde Police Department and the school district police force had stopped cooperating with investigations soon after the DPS said on May 27 that police had erred in delaying entry into the classroom.
Yeah, but they did. Jeez. DPS responded that the UPD and UCISD police force have been cooperating with investigators. Have been. While specifying that the UCISD police chief, Pedro Arredondo, provided an initial interview, but has not responded to a request for a follow-up interview with the Texas Rangers that was made 2 days ago. Why not, bud? Also, on the 1st of June, Arredondo told CNN that he was in contact with DPS every day. He said he would not release further information about the events of the shooting while funerals are ongoing, citing respect for the families. Whenever this is done and the families quit grieving, then we'll do that, obviously. Oh, my goodness.
Whenever these assholes quit grieving over their dead children.
All right, dude.
Piece of shit. When Uvalde Police Department's acting chief, Lieutenant Mariano Pargas, was interviewed by authorities 2 days after the shooting, he did not mention that he had known at the time that there were children in the classroom.
Of course there were.
Pargas said that he had Officer Ruben Ruiz removed from the hallway after he said that his wife was shot in her classroom because we were just afraid that he was going to try to run into the classroom and try to do what I wanted to do if I could have done it.
He could have done it. You're supposed to do it. Actually, that's what he was supposed to do.
Right. We were afraid that he was going to go in and save more kids from being killed. Fucking
stupid.
Moron.
Dumb. When Pargas was interviewed again in mid-June and asked about the 911 calls made from inside the classroom, he said he cannot remember and does not mention that he had called his department's dispatchers. I think you would remember if you got 5 911 calls from a child in the classroom saying there's a bunch of dead bodies everywhere. I won't forget that. He said the dispatchers told him about the
biggest moment
calls.
in this dude's career, probably.
Right.
And don't remember my ass.
Instead, Pargas said the last thing we thought was that the shooter had actually shot the kids. We thought he had shot up in the air, broken the lights. We had an idea of what was behind those doors. You liar. Oh, what do you think he was in there doing?
What?
You think this would have been the first school shooting where they just go in there and scared the kids? No. No.
Especially after, by now they're aware that this dude's grandma was just shot in the fucking face.
And you took a gun away from a cop because you didn't want him to go in there. And the guy clearly said, my wife's in there bleeding to death.
Right.
You dumbass.
June 9th, the committee of 3 started their investigations into the shooting on behalf of the Texas House of Representatives. The committee consisted of Representative Dustin Burrows, Representative Joe Moody, and former Texas Supreme Court member Eva Guzman. That day, committee leader Burrows explained that the investigation would be done in private out of respect for the process and wanted to be thorough and accurate before revealing any conclusions.
I think the town members and all that don't want it to be private. They probably want to be in on those
like
meetings.
we want to know what's going to happen here. On June 20th, before the committee had a hearing at Uvalde City Hall, a fire marshal told parents, journalists, and chaplain to leave the premises because someone is intimidated. Oh my gosh.
Are you serious? 16th of June, City of Uvalde, through its attorneys, cited several reasons to prevent the release of police records related to the shooting. The stated reasons include information that is not of legitimate concern to the public.
I think anything's a legitimate concern.
And, yeah, you can't tell us what we think is legitimate concern to us or not. Highly embarrassing information related to criminal history, potential revealing of police methods and techniques, and strategies for preventing and predicting crime. Well, you didn't do any of those techniques or strategies for preventing and predicting crime.
Wait a minute. Highly embarrassing information related to criminal history?
Yeah.
So which one of these cops are fucking criminals,
Probably
first of
both
all?
them.
Right.
Potentially distressing information. Potentially exposing city employees, officers to a substantial threat of physical harm, privacy, and the dead suspect loophole. Where information is suppressed for crimes in which no one has been convicted, including the cases where the suspect is dead. Screw that. What kind of policy is that bullshit?
Freeman F. Martin, Deputy Director of Homeland Security Operations at the Texas DPS, informed Burrows that the District Attorney of Uvalde County has objected to the release of a portion of a video taken in the hallway during the police response. Of course they would. The clip ended immediately before officers breached the classroom and did not show any images of children. Burrows, Martin, and Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin believed that releasing the footage would be helpful to the public, though. July 12, 2022, the Austin American-Statesman released 77 minutes of video composed of footage from hallway cameras and an officer's body-worn camera.
Wow. The release video was edited to obscure the identity of a student and to remove the sound of children screaming. The video was intended to be shown to families of victims on Sunday, July 17th, before it would be released publicly. The Austin American-Statesman obtained a copy of the video and published it on the 12th of July. What piece of shit.
Of course they would.
Creating anger amongst some of the victims' families while others expressed support for its publication. Yeah, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
The leaked video attracted further criticism and outrage, showing law enforcement to seemingly not understand the gravity of the situation, including one of the officers taking a pump of hand sanitizer. Yeah, I remember that. From a dispenser, and 2 other officers exchanging a fist bump. Oh my goodness, dude. This was just sad news bears.
A Uvalde staff member filed a petition for information about Daniel Defense, which is the gun company, on June 2nd, attempting to make a prima facie case against the gun maker for its marketing of the weapons.
Get the hell out of here.
The staff member had been outside delivering food to the school for an end-of-year party when she witnessed a car crash. She then had gone inside to grab her cell phone to call 911 about the crash and had propped open a door to the school with a rock, but had kicked the door shut when she ran inside after witnessing him hop in the fence. This is one part of the misrepresented details that were published after the shooting.
Right.
What's misrepresented about it?
The door was propped open.
Oh, right.
3rd of June, parent of one of
Clearly it didn't matter because the door was unlocked anyways.
Right. A parent of one of the deceased victims filed a letter seeking documents and records from Daniel Defense. Why?
Because you know they got to go after the gun makers.
What is that guy going to do? Yeah, I sold a gun. I didn't know.
It was legal.
Jeez. Through the lawyers, she filed a letter through lawyers that had represented families of victims of the 2012 Sandy Hook shooting against the manufacturer of the rifle used in the shooting. Why? You can't do that. You can't sue Chevrolet if you get into a car accident.
Well, if it's their fault.
June 7th, attorney Thomas J. Henry filed a lawsuit on behalf of 4 families of students injured in the shooting against Ramos' estate as well, and sought answers about how he had gained access to the school. Henry said that the initial lawsuit would allow them to discover evidence and potentially add other parties to the lawsuit, with the discovery process focused on the school system, law enforcement, social media, and the gun and ammo manufacturers.
November 28, 2022, the family of victim Eliana Torres, including her mother Sandra, filed a lawsuit alongside Everytown for Gun Safety against gun manufacturer Daniel Defense and gun store Oasis Outback, as well as 24 additional people and entities. The lawsuit alleged that Daniel Defense markets its AR-15 style rifles by using militaristic imagery and video game references by marketing it on various social media platforms, and by suggesting that its rifles can be used by civilians for offensive combat style operations against non-combatants. Well, they can, as well as accusations of unfair marketing tactics in violation of the Federal Trade Commission Act. I don't think you should be marketing guns that way.
Not like that. Right. Oasis Outback, which delivered the rifle used in the attack to Ramos, was accused of negligence transfer of firearms, as well as the fact that the store had a duty not to sell weapons to just turned 18-year-old shooter. Oh. Man, you just turned 18.
Can't sell you a weapon, even though it's completely legal. That's like saying I can't buy a pack of cigarettes when I turn 18 because I'm going to smoke them.
That's what most kids did. As soon as I turned 18, those are my first pack of cigarettes. Like, well, you see, the thing is, technically.
I mean, it says 18, but we'd like to wait till you're at least 19, okay?
Right.
How are they going to say? That next line is just sitting here.
Yeah, it says that they had a duty to not sell weapons to just turned 18-year-old shooters who it knew or reasonably should have known was likely to harm itself or others.
Why would you have known that?
Right. The dude ordered it online. They're like, man, I think this kid's going to hurt somebody.
How could you have known that?
Right. Ramos was described by a witness as novice and behaving suspiciously while inside the store. Furthermore, the lawsuit filed charges on the accusations of a failed law enforcement response, claiming that Helana's Fourth and 14th Amendment rights were violated when she and her fellow students and teachers were involuntarily confined within their classrooms, accompanying additional unlawful seizure and lack of due process accusations towards law enforcement and defendants. Yeah. Get those sons of bitches.
The school department or school district asked parents not to pick up their children until all Robb Elementary School students were accounted for. Except for the 17 dead. Right. At around 2 p.m., parents were notified to pick them up. except for the 17 dead.
Right.
All district and campus activities were canceled, and the parents of students at other schools were asked to pick up their children due to school bus cancellations. That night, the school department's superintendent, Hal Harrell, announced in a letter sent to parents that the school year had concluded for the entire district, similarly to what was done during the COVID-19 pandemic, including the cancellation of a planned graduation ceremony.
The school year had previously been scheduled to end 2 days later on Thursday. Some parents had to wait late into the night for final confirmation of their child's death, awaiting DNA identification. On the day of the shooting, Uvalde Memorial Hospital held an emergency blood drive for the victims. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center issued an urgent request for blood donations after the shooting, and it sent 15 units of blood to Uvalde via a helicopter to be used in area hospitals. 27th of May, the center reported that more than 2,000 people donated blood after the shooting.
Well, see, that's where, donating blood's cool, but that's way too many people.
Right.
Blood doesn't stay forever, and most of it just gets wasted.
Yep.
Good intention still, I guess.
Ramos's remains were held by the Uvalde County coroner for weeks after local funerals refused to arrange funeral services for him out of respect for his victims.
Good.
Before they eventually cremated by Castle Ridge Mortuary in Crystal City.
These motherfuckers are like, I'll burn them. Mm-hmm. Shortly after the shooting, a memorial was created outside the school for the victims and survivors with balloons, candles, and crosses. A local man made 21 crosses inscribed with there are 21 crosses by the right side of the highway. They were inscribed with the victims' names to be placed outside the school. Additional memorials were erected for the deceased victims throughout Uvalde by both locals and those who drove into the city to honor them. Don't drive into the fucking fuck you guys. Other memorials and tributes were held throughout the country. Free headstones and funeral services were offered to the families of victims by local and state businesses. Good for them.
State and local food trucks and restaurant owners also traveled to Uvalde to offer food and supplies for families affected. The San Antonio Zoo announced they would light up their parking garage red. Cool. This was Robb Elementary School colors. They did that for 21 days to honor each of the 21 victims.
That's cool. Yeah.
I guess. Joe Garcia, the husband of Irma Garcia, one of the teachers moited during the shooting, died 2 days after the shooting from a heart attack while attending a memorial. His family said the heart attack was tied to grief after
losing his life. He died from a broken heart, huh?
Yeah. Jeez.
They were survived by 4 of their children. The school district created a fund through the First State Bank with the money raised going to the families of the victims and survivors with donations accepted in person or by check. May 27th, it was announced that an anonymous donor had donated $175,000 to go towards the funerals of the victims.
Did it though?
Right. Fundraising was also seen on GoFundMe, which set up a central hub for people looking to donate to help those affected by the shooting in an effort to stop scammers from taking advantage of the shooting. Right.
As of 27th of May, what year?
2022.
About $7.5 million had been raised through the hub from donors across the U.S. from over 91 countries. Additional fundraisers for the victims and their families were done through many avenues, such as items for sale or proceeds from a barbecue. Catholic Extension, a grant-giving nonprofit that finances impoverished parishes, announced that it has endowed 30 full scholarships for students wounded in the Robb Elementary School shooting to attend Sacred Heart Catholic School, a private school in Uvalde.
Oh, yeah, they needed some altar boys, didn't they?
Right.
Fucking purge.
Jeez. All right.
All right, well, meanwhile, let's go back to the old piece of crap Arredondo and his ignorance. He had been elected to... like we said earlier, he disputed being the incident commander for law enforcement responding. By 12:46 p.m., Arredondo seemed to give his approval for officers to enter the room. The Times reported. If y'all are ready to do it, you do it, he said, according to the transcript. He delivered 2 brief press statements on the day of the shooting without answering any questions, then offered no public comments until June 1st.
Wow. He had been elected to the Uvalde City Council on the 7th of May before the shooting occurred. On the 30th of May, the mayor, Don McLaughlin, said that the city special council meeting where Arredondo would have been sworn in as city council member will not take place as scheduled, as the focus on Tuesday is on our families who lost loved ones, not swearing in some coward.
All right.
McLaughlin, he commented that there is nothing in the city charter, election code, or Texas Constitution that prohibits Arredondo from taking the oath of office, and that he was not aware of any investigation of Arredondo.
May 31st, McLaughlin revealed that Arredondo had personally visited City Hall that day and was sworn in as a city council member.
Oh, wow.
Stating the lack of a ceremony was done out of respect for families whose children was killed. Arredondo did not attend a city council meeting June 7th when Mayor McLaughlin was questioned in Arredondo's absence. He said he can't answer that.
Of course he can't.
The swearing in. So,
all right. Jeez. When journalists visited the UCISD headquarters, where Arredondo was, law enforcement ordered them to leave. Screw you. CNN journalist was given an initial warning and was told that Uvalde police were on their way and would charge journalists with criminal trespassing if they continue to remain at the headquarters. They can stay there. A San Antonio Express news journalist was told by district officials that the headquarters are private property. I don't think so. Anything that has to do with...
well, it's the school district, though.
That's true. June 3rd, the UCISD's board held a meeting and decided not to take any disciplinary action against Arredondo.
Oh, of course they would.
He was put on administrative leave, though, on the 22nd of June. Not taking any action, but we're just going to put him on leave, huh?
Paid. In an interview published June 9th, Texas Tribune, Arredondo provided his first detailed public comments. He said he did not speak out earlier to avoid blaming others or worsening the community's grief. July 2nd, Arredondo resigned from his position on the Uvalde City Council. Uvalde, they should have never sworn him in, idiots. No. The Uvalde School Board voted unanimously August 24th to terminate his contract as police chief as well.
Man, damn right.
Fucking tar and feather his ass and send him down the road.
Ain't kidding, man. 3rd of June, the district's board held a meeting and decided that Robb Elementary School building would no longer be used as a school, with students and staff moving to a new campus. Superintendent Harrell announced that Robb Elementary School would never reopen, out of concern for the potential to re-traumatize surviving students and staff of the wider community. 21st of June, Mayor McLaughlin announced that Robb Elementary would be demolished. A new school to replace the school is set to begin construction in summer 2023. It is scheduled to open in the fall of 2024.
In the wake of the shooting, Donna Independent School District, which serves Donna, Texas, an area approximately 234 miles from Uvalde, received a credible threat of violence. In response, the district canceled school while it investigated the threat. June 7th, the Department of Homeland Security warned individuals in online forums who routinely promulgate domestic violent extremist and conspiracy theory related content have praised this shooting and encouraged copycats. While others tried to spread disinformation and incite grievances, including claims it was a government stage event that meant to advance gun control measures. August 8th, 2023, 17-year-old cousin of Salvador Ramos was arrested and charged with making a terroristic threat to the public for allegedly claiming to his sister he was planning on doing the same thing as his cousin.
Oh, man.
I remember when that news broke.
After the shooting, Texas State Trooper Crimson Elizondo was investigated by her agency, the Texas Department of Public Safety, for actions during the shooting that were inconsistent with training and department requirements. Every single one of them should be investigated.
Right.
August 2022, Elizondo resigned from the Texas Department of Public Safety. 5th of October 2022, CNN reported that Elizondo had been hired as a Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District police officer. Why? CNN also reported on Elizondo's actions during the shooting, stating that she had been one of the first officers to respond to the scene, but does not retrieve any tactical body armor on her long rifle, as officers are trained to do, and walked inside the building briefly, but mostly stood outside during the shooting. Wow. I didn't want to get shot at. I'd rather get the kid shot at.
CNN further cited that Elizondo was heard on body camera video telling other officers that if my son had been in there, I would have not been outside. I promise you that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she fucking piece of
my
shit.
My kid wasn't in there, but let other kids be in there.
October 6, 2022, she was fired from the Consolidated School District, which cited that Elizondo's statement in the audio is not consistent with the district's expectations.
Oh, well, you lying horse.
Idiots. Late October 2022, Texas State Trooper Sergeant Juan Maldonado was fired from the Texas Department of Public Safety. CNN reported that he was one of the first responding law enforcement officers, having arrived on the scene within 5 minutes of the start of the shooting.
14th of November 2022, CNN reported on audio and video of the actions of Uvalde Police Department Acting Police Chief Lieutenant Mariana Pargas during the shooting, stating that at 12:16 p.m., Pargas made a call and asked the dispatcher, how many are still alive in room 112, with the dispatcher telling him 8 to 9 are still alive. 2:17 p.m., Parkes tells a border 12:17 p.m., Parkes tells a Border Patrol officer that there are injured victims. 12:18, Parkes does not mention children. Texas Ranger discussing the flow of information.
November 17, 2022, Parkes retired from the Uvalde Police Department 2 days before the Uvalde City Council would discuss whether he should be fired.
Oh, jeez.
January 2023, Christopher Ryan Kindle was fired from the Texas Rangers due to failing to treat the gunman as an active shooter.
Right.
So it didn't really matter if Arredondo was the leading guy. You had all these other departments in there that should have done something. Mm-hmm. Kindle has appealed the fire, and fuck you. September 2023, the Texas Department of Public Safety stated that its internal investigation had concluded and with no more officers to be punished.
Shit, all of them should have been punished. Every single one of them that was there. Almost 400 law enforcement officers, including 150 U.S. Border Patrol agents and 91 Texas DPS officers, came to Uvalde during the shooting, and every single one of them should be fired. Before tactical units arrived, police officers inside the school, who numbered at least 19, well, at least those ones, made no effort to breach the room where Ramos was located, according to the Texas Department of Public Safety. According to DPS, the decision to wait for tactical units to arrive was based on the false belief that Ramos had been isolated to a classroom where he could do no harm.
Despite the 10 calls combined from those students and the wife to her husband.
Right. This decision was made by the incident commander, identified as, you guessed it, Pedro Arredondo, the chief of police of the district.
Police arrested and handcuffed one mother. We heard about that. Body camera footage also shows one of the officers, Robin Ruiz, being held back. We heard about
his
that.
wife's in there.
His wife was inside one of the classrooms dying of a gunshot wound. May 26th press conference, when asked whether the first responders had erred in waiting for reinforcements, DPS official Victor Escalon said he did not have enough information to answer that question.
What do you mean?
Well, the short answer is yes.
Right.
Clearly, maybe this guy's shit was involved in the training. I can't remember who. They said there was like 5 departments, but the school district, for a fact, held the school shooter drill where it said, even if you have to go in alone.
Damn right.
Fuck off.
Wow. Media interview on the very same day. DPS spokesman Chris Alvarez said that if law enforcement proceeded any further not knowing where the suspect was, they could have been shot at and they could have been killed, and the gunman would have an opportunity to kill other people inside the school. Uvalde's police chief Daniel Rodriguez defended his officers in the 26th of May statement, saying, "It is important for our community to know that our officers responded within minutes."
No, your officers showed up.
Right. They showed up within minutes and they did nothing.
Former Austin and Houston's police chief Art Acevedo tweeted, "We don't have all the particulars right now, but when gunfire is ringing out with police with," I don't know, they couldn't make out the word, I guess. When gunfire is ringing out, police are trained, expected, and required to engage.
Right.
This is a moral and ethical obligation.
You ain't kidding.
And I think it would be even more moral and ethical obligation when there's fucking 4th graders involved.
Right. Jeez.
May 27th, the DPS acknowledged several law enforcement errors that potentially led to greater bloodshed. At a news conference, Stephen McCraw said the DPS director, or he's the DPS director, he said, "From the benefit of hindsight, where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period."
Right. What up? I mean, there's nothing else you can say.
Right.
Second
Well,
in
at least he owns up to it. Fucking everybody else is a bunch of being pussies about it.
Right. 2nd in June, Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez said that he heard from the Commission on State Emergency Communications that Arredondo did not know of 911 calls being made by children trapped in a classroom with Ramos. That's a lie. Gutierrez said that Uvalde Police Department was receiving 911 calls for 45 minutes while 19 officers were sitting in the hallway. We don't know if it was being communicated to those people or not. Yes, they were. That's on audio, you dumb fuck.
You can, the one thing on that the newspaper released while the cops are standing in the hallway, there's children screaming that they literally had to edit out because it was too fucking gory and gruesome for people to hear.
Wow. And then Gutierrez later stated that Arredondo had no radio during shooting.
Because the antenna hits him when he runs. You know, you can close those, or no, I guess it's probably the rubber ones. June 9th, New York Times determined through an investigative review that police officers were aware that there were injured individuals trapped inside classrooms before they decided to breach.
Idiots.
June 18th, San Antonio Express News, citing a law enforcement source close to the investigation, the reporter reported that surveillance video showed that law enforcement did not physically try to open the door to the classrooms for 77 minutes before law enforcement's eventual entry. They didn't even try at all. Meaning, didn't even go up to see if it was locked or not, or do any fucking thing.
Stupid. Dumb. The surveillance video showed Ramos firing inside classrooms 111, 112, briefly returning to the hallway, then going back in the rooms. Ramos then shot through the closed door, prompting law enforcement to retreat like little bitches. San Antonio Express News reported that law enforcement might have assumed the door was locked. Maybe they assumed the door was locked, while their source relayed investigators' belief that Ramos could not have locked the classroom door from the inside. Investigators are still determining whether the classroom door was locked or unlocked all along, which may have been caused by a lock malfunction, which the teacher
clearly said that.
Already said
Right.
It was.
The source also said that law enforcement for the entire time possessed a Halligan tool that could have breached a locked classroom door. The source added that Pete Arredondo had tried various keys not on the classroom door to classrooms 111 and 112. Right. So, this dude's going around to upstairs and shit to 212. But on other classrooms nearby in an attempt to identify a master key. What an idiot, I guess. But June 21st, Steve why don't you have the key to the 112 and 111, first of all? June 21st, Steve McCraw, the Texas Department of Public Safety Director, testified during the Texas Senate Committee meeting. He says the police response was an abject failure, antithetical to everything we have learned over the past 2 decades. Right. And that police could have stopped the shooter in 3 minutes.
Easily done. His statements were the strongest condemnations by Texas state law enforcement of the police response at Uvalde so far. In particular, McCraw singled out Uvalde School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, whom he identified as the on-scene commander at the incident. McCraw said, the only thing stopping a hallway of dedicated officers from entering room 111 and 112 was the on-scene commander who decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children, which was why they became officers.
July 17th, the Texas House Investigative
Can you imagine
Committee.
going to war? Oh, we got to wait because they're going to shoot at us.
Right.
You're in war, bud.
July 17th, the Texas House Investigative Committee released a 77-page report. That's it. On systemic failures and egregiously poor decision-making that exacerbated the shooting and criticized state and federal officials and agencies in addition to the locals, police. The report said a total of 376 law enforcement officials responded to the shooting, including 149 Border Patrol agents and 91 police officers, state police. According to the New York Times, the report found that the Uvalde police chief knew that a child had made 911 calls from inside a classroom, but that none of the officers who learned of the calls advocated for shifting to an active shooter-style response, or otherwise acting more urgently to breach the
Because
classroom.
they were all scared they were going to get shot at. Officials, including Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Texas DPS Director Steve McCraw, gave inaccurate and incomplete initial accounts of the shooting.
For sure.
In many ways, new information from the authorities directly contradicted previous accounts from officials. 26th of May, Representative Joaquin Castro of Texas said that the state officials provided conflicting accounts that contradicted witnesses and called for the FBI to investigate and provide a full account of the incident. 24th of May, Abbott said Ramos had used a handgun and possibly a rifle during the shooting.
The claim that Ramos used a handgun was inaccurate. Okay, he used a gun, guys. Yeah. May 25th, Abbott said that only one rifle was used during the shooting. It's true. Okay. Meanwhile, DPS official Eric Estrada. Oh, shit. Damn. Nice. Took the chips fucking roll seriously, didn't he? Yeah. He said May 24th that Ramos had body armor on, but he was later contradicted by DPS official Christopher Olivares, who said that Ramos was wearing a tactical vest that typically carries magazines but had no ballistic panels.
Right.
Okay. Could easily get those two confused if you're just looking at them.
Right.
May 25th, two DPS officials, Olivares and Travis Considine, separately said that a school police officer confronted Ramos outside the school, that the two exchanged gunfire, wounded the police officer, and that Ramos then entered the school. Let me guess, is that not right?
No, don't think so. Later on the 25th of May, McCraw said that the school police officer engaged Ramos without firing any shots. On 26th of May, DPS official Victor Escalon.
Yeah, because that's the one that
right.
said he was waiting for a supervisor to tell him he could engage or some shit.
Right. 26th of May, DPS official Victor Escalon said that there had been no confrontation between Ramos and a school police officer, and that Ramos had walked into the school unobstructed, with no readily available and armed officer present. 27th of May, McCraw said that the school police officer was not at the school when the incident started, but he drove there during the incident. Drove right by Ramos, he said, and mistakenly confronted a teacher.
May 25th, McCraw.
And then when the teacher was like, no, not me, he's inside. Guy's like, oh, okay.
All right. May 25th, McCraw, without giving a specific timeline, said law enforcement engaged immediately. They contained the gunmen in the classroom and put the tactical stack together in a very orderly way and breached.
No.
McCraw also said that on that day that law enforcement engaged the active shooter and continued to keep him pinned down in that location until a tactical team was assembled to breach the room to kill Ramos.
They didn't keep him pinned down. The dude was wandering back and forth.
May 26th, Escalon said law enforcement had delayed an assault on Ramos because they required specialty equipment, body armor, and precision riflemen and negotiators.
Yes, you freaking sissies. Escalon introduced the claim that there had been negotiations, saying Ramos did not respond, and there wasn't much gunfire during negotiations other than trying to keep the officers at bay. Okay, 26th of May, McCraw claimed that Ramos entered the school from a door propped open by a teacher. On 31st of May, a lawyer for the teacher said that the teacher had, in fact, closed the door after seeing Ramos, having pulled and held the door closed while telling 911 about the shooting. The teacher thought the door would lock because the door is always supposed to be locked.
Later, May 31st, Considine acknowledged that the teacher had indeed closed the door before Ramos entered, but the door did not lock as it should.
Jeez.
June 21st, McCraw stated that the school entrance door could only be locked from the outside.
Why?
And that the teacher was unaware of that.
Okay.
May 27th, Abbott said in a press conference that he was misled and given inaccurate information by law enforcement agencies, adding, "I'm absolutely livid about that." CNN reported that Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin, who sat by Abbott at the press conference, was left as dumbfounded as the governor by the changing stories of law enforcement.
You're not kidding, man.
Fucking
This is just a mess. Are you sure the FBI?
How is only, like, why is that whole 400 and 397, whatever the fuck, officers are there not fired immediately? Or at the bare minimum, the 19 that were in the school.
Ridiculous. 21st of June, McCraw State. You know much bad shit's going on in that little border town, dude. That's probably why. Like the thing is that it was embarrassing information and other shit they didn't want let out. June 21st, McCraw stated that the classroom door had not been locked by the gunman. The classroom door could only be locked from the outside, not from the inside. And teacher had reported before the shooting, why would you have doors locked on the
that's pretty
only outside?
Shitty locking tactic. But,
right. And a teacher had reported before the shooting that the classroom's door's lock was broken. 2nd of June, 9 days after the mass shooting, there was a private meeting at Uvalde City Hall. The gathering was arranged by Governor Abbott's office due to rising tensions between Uvalde officials. They're like, yeah, we need to get down to the bottom of this shit.
Abbott's general counsel and his chief of staff, Luis Sainz, were both in attendance as mediators. Various Uvalde civic leaders were also present, including Mayor Don McLaughlin, County Judge Bill Mitchell, Local District Attorney Christina Mitchell Busby, County Attorney John Dodson, local police officials, Uvalde Assistant City Manager Joe Cardenas, and Uvalde City Attorney Paul Tarski. During the meeting, a one-page document titled Narrative was given to McCraw, the state's top police official. This was presented to him by City Attorney Paul Tarski.
Cool.
All right.
Uvalde city officials then pressured McCraw to publicly endorse their storyline and hold a press conference, in which he was asked to change his depiction of events into a version more favorable to their liking. One in which the quick arrival of officers at the school would be promoted, highlighting their success in containing the gunman. The narrative document was made available to New York Times following a public information request. The city claimed that there was zero hesitation on any of these officers' part. They moved directly toward the gunfire. No, video says otherwise. And the total number of persons saved by the heroes that are local law enforcement and the other assisting agencies is over 500 people. Get out of here.
Jeez, that's like saying there was a shooting at whatever, like a house or something. A gunman was barricaded. The officers took him out, and they saved a city of 20,000. Get the fuck out of here.
Saved 20,000 people that day.
Stupid. The document defended the delayed police response prior to the final confrontation with the gunman, stating that the time was not wasted, but each minute was used to save lives of children and teachers.
False.
And that absent the shields, every UPD officer was of the opinion that breaching the door was suicide.
Whoa.
But it clearly wasn't when they actually breached the door.
Exactly.
However, according to the New York Times, some of the footage from the scene raises questions about the city's account. Video from the hallway made clear that shields began arriving in the hallway outside the classrooms long before the officers moved in. Like we just said,
Yep.
the first shield came at 11:58 or some shit.
The city's description of the events also conflicted with McCraw's previous statement to the public, in which he portrayed a scene where officers had not adhered to standard training procedures. They didn't. The hour-long meeting was heated, and voices were raised. Ooh, voices were raised. McCraw refused to endorse the city's narrative as
good for you.
saying that he disagreed with their summary. District Attorney Busby also objected to the city's narrative and argued her point with Uvalde City Attorney, saying she was concerned with the release of inaccurate or incomplete information. She's like, what are we doing here, guys?
Somebody's got some balls. Ramos' mother said she had no explanation for her son's attack on the school, but that he had his reasons for doing what he did, and please don't judge him. I only want the innocent children who died to forgive me. His father apologized for his son's actions and said he should have just killed me, instead of doing something like that. I guess.
Arnulfo Reyes, the teacher in classroom 111, who lost all 11 students that were there during the shooting, was shot in the arm, lung, and back. Reyes labeled law enforcement as cowards for the response during the shooting, saying, they sit there, did nothing for our community. They took a long time to go in. He also said, after everything, I get more angry because you law enforcement have a bulletproof vest. I have nothing. These children have nothing. He commented that no training gets you ready for this. We trained our kids to sit under the table, but we set them up to be like ducks. Mm-hmm. You can give us all the training you want, but gun laws have to change. I will go anywhere to the end of the world to not let my students die in vain. I will go to the end of the world to make sure things get changed.
Survivors, family members of survivors, and victims spoke to a congressional panel, the United States House Committee on Oversight and Reform, about 2 weeks after. Testimony was done prior to the House debating on a bill on June 8th that would raise the minimum age of to 21 to purchase certain firearms and toughen prohibitions on untraceable guns. Multiple survivors from the shooting have expressed their fear of returning to school and have spoken with media outlets to recount their experiences.
I mean, I can see that. Some gathered together and formed the organization Lives Robbed, a nonprofit organization that is aimed at bringing forward changes in gun legislation. Angeli Gomez, who was handcuffed by police when she ran into the school to rescue her children, was later interviewed by CBS News. She said that she was on probation from charges from a decade prior, and law enforcement contacted her after the shooting to warn her not to publicize her story because she could face charges for obstruction of justice. Oh, dude.
Intimidation.
That's bullshit.
Her lawyer later said that she had been harassed by police in 2 instances. The first when police conducted a traffic stop on her vehicle and falsely accused of her harboring illegal immigrants in it. Oh, they know damn well. And the second when a police stopped her vehicle outside her home for about 45 minutes and flashed its lights at her and her mother.
Wow.
A special report by the Uvalde Leader News reported that Gomez's claim of being handcuffed was false after an investigation into the actions of Gomez. Gomez has not responded to the news article. Isn't it on? I thought it was on video or something.
Right. Dude, these cops went in front of their house and just like, there's some freaking movie shit there. Man. Oh, my goodness.
Corrupt.
Wow. President installed Joe Biden ordered flags at federal buildings to be flown at half staff. In a televised address to the nation on 24th of May, Biden highlighted that other countries have truly no national depression and domestic disputes. Biden highlighted that other countries had mental health problems and domestic disputes and people who are lost, but these kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequencies they happen in America. Why, he asked? Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Biden also said that he was sick and tired of mass shootings, declaring we have to act and calling for common sense gun laws. Biden also spoke to Texas Governor Greg Abbott to offer assistance, according to Biden's communications director.
May 25th, Abbott held a press conference where he described the shootings as evil, intolerable, and unacceptable. Abbott continued by saying the shooting could have been worse if not for actions of law enforcement, who he described as having provided a quick response and showed amazing courage by running toward gunfire. What the fuck?
Yeah.
He proceeded to blame the shooting on a problem with mental health illness in the local community, while saying in the same speech that Ramos had no criminal or mental health history.
Exactly.
But now, oh, jeez.
During press conference, Beto O'Rourke, Democratic nominee to the 2022 Texas gubernatorial election, confronted Abbott by telling him, "You said this was not predictable. This was totally predictable, and you choose not to do anything." Don McLaughlin, the Republican mayor of Uvalde since 2014, told O'Rourke to leave the press conference, calling him a sick son of a bitch who was making a political issue before O'Rourke was escorted out of the auditorium. O'Rourke later criticized Abbott for reducing mental health services in the state and expanding gun access to 18-year-olds.
The shooting was condemned by former presidents Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. Senator Susan Collins, a Republican from Maine.
George Bush is like, keep me out of this.
Right. Senator Susan Collins from Maine, a Republican, described the shooting as unbelievably tragic and horrible crime. She expressed support for red flag laws that help restrict potentially violent individuals from accessing firearms. They already do.
Right.
Senator Ted Cruz called the shooting yet another act of evil and mass murder. He offered his prayers to the family and children affected by the shooting and said the country has seen too many of these shootings.
Right. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, Republican, reacted by blaming school shootings in the United States on wokeness and CRT and liberal indoctrination. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said that his message for grieving families in Uvalde was, I believe God always has a plan. Life is short no matter what it is, and certainly we're not going to make sense of the killing of children.
Partly based on a rumor started by an anonymous user on the POL/image board, politics probably, on 4chan, Representative Paul Gosar from Arizona made unsubstantiated claims on Twitter the day after the shooting that the perpetrator was a transsexual leftist illegal alien. The tweet was taken down within 2 hours. The false claims were further spread by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and other far-right House Republicans and conservative media figures and social media users.
Yeah, those people are idiots.
Despite authorities identifying Ramos as an American citizen. Right, idiots. Internationally, shooting was condemned by various governments and politicians, including the government of Mexico, which said it was working with American authorities to identify Mexican victims.
Do you stand behind the shooter? No. Stupid. Mexican consul Ishmael Navea responded by going to Uvalde on the day of the shooting. Mexico said it was providing consular assistance for Mexican nationals. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador commented on the Hispanic origin of the majority of the victims, noting, just look at the surnames. They are children, grandchildren of Mexicans. It hurts a lot. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and leader of the opposition Keir Starmer both paid tribute to the victims in the House of Commons of the United Kingdom. Good for you guys.
The shooting was denounced, among others, by the whole world, pretty much. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Okay? The human rights group Amnesty International said among wealthier developed countries, the U.S. is an outlier when it comes to firearm violence. U.S. governments have allowed gun violence to become a human rights crisis. Gerard Araud, the former French ambassador to the United States during the Obama and Trump's administrations, said it was a craziness without any prospect of improvement. Let's hear from some actors. Actor Matthew McConaughey, all right, who was born in Uvalde, has also expressed his sympathy towards the victims.
Oh, shit.
Oh, cool. After the incident, McConaughey visited the White House to push for stricter gun laws and mental health reform.
Cool. President Biden delivered a speech on the shooting and asked, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? His lack of concrete plan attracted controversy from gun control activists. In a speech given on the night of the shooting, Vice President Kamala Harris reacted to the shooting by calling for policy changes to prevent similar shootings. There's all the policies in the world right now that exist. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called the United States to pass stricter gun measures. And he urged Republican members of Congress to resist influence from the National Rifle Association of America, a gun rights lobby that have been long blamed for USA lawmakers' resistance of supporting gun control.
Top Texas Republican officials such as Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Texas House Speaker Dade Phelan of Beaumont, Attorney General Ken Paxton, Representative Tony Gonzalez of San Antonio, and Senators Cornyn and Cruz resisted the possibility of more comprehensive gun control measures. Abbott said that tougher gun regulations were not a real solution.
No.
Instead of gun control, many Senate Republicans called for increasing security presence in schools. Why if they're just going to stand in the fucking hallway anyways? Limited entryways into school and arming teachers and other school officials.
How about the locks on the doors actually work?
Right, and be able to lock them from the inside.
I mean, makes perfect sense there. Republican Senator Ron Johnson promoted the Luke and Alex Safety Act, which is a bill to create a national database of public school safety practices, but was silent on whether he was receding from his longstanding position to universal background checks. Johnson's move to advance his bill by unanimous consent was blocked. With Schumer saying that the Senate was going to vote on gun legislation through consideration of the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, and that Johnson's proposal could be considered as part of that process. Senator Cruz said that some politicians would politicize the shooting to push for stricter gun reforms. Users on social media accused Cruz of hypocrisy for accepting money from gun interest groups and for planning to speak at the NRA's annual meeting being held in Houston with Abbott and Cornyn.
The NRA-ILA's annual leadership forum, May 27th in Houston, drew heavy criticism in light of a recent shooting. Former President Donald Trump, Governors Kristi Noem and Greg Abbott, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Senators Cruz and Cornyn, and Representative Dan Crenshaw were previously scheduled to give remarks. Cornyn and Crenshaw were subsequently canceled, and Abbott announced that he would instead appear at a news conference in Uvalde and send pre-recorded remarks to the NRA convention.
Oh, so what happened with Daniel Defense, you ask? Well, the manufacturer of a firearm used in the shooting decided not to attend. At the event, Trump and other Republicans rejected gun reforms, with Senator Cruz blaming mass shootings in the U.S. on cultural sickness based on fatherless children and an alleged link between violence and video games, and advocated for arming teachers and redesigning schools to have only one entrance and exit. You can't do that.
Well, I would argue that's a big fire hazard.
Right. Gun safety advocacy groups such as Moms Demand Action and March for Our Lives, as well as local teachers unions, Black Lives Matters chapters, the Harris County Democratic Party, and Beto O'Rourke protested outside the convention.
Gun manufacturer Daniel Defense was met with social media criticism as well in the wake of the shooting, including criticism of a since-deleted Twitter post May 16th, depicting a child holding a Daniel Defense rifle, causing the company to make many of its social media accounts private. Manuel Oliver, a gun control activist and the father of a Stoneman Douglas High School shooting victim, issued a statement expressing his outrage and said that the families of the victims do not need the thoughts and prayers of politicians. Instead, they need their kids. I mean, I guess that's true, but...
Several families of Sandy Hook victims spoke out, with several calling for stricter gun control.
That's the guy.
Fred Gutenberg, whose daughter was moited during the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, also called for politicians to enact stricter gun control and expressed support for the families of Robb Elementary. On June 11th, March for Our Lives protests were held across the U.S. Survivors of the 2021 Oxford High School shooting also expressed outrage.
June 6th of that year, the state of New York passed a new law raising the age from 18 to 21 for people to be able to buy semi-automatic weapons. May 19, 2023, Texas passed a law requiring members of law enforcement to undergo 16 hours of training every 2 years in the school shooting response. June 2nd, the United States House Committee on the Judiciary proposed the Protecting Our Kids Act. The bill notably excludes an assault weapons ban, but includes other measures such as banning those under 21 from purchasing semi-automatic rifles and the import, sale, manufacture, transfer, or possession of high-capacity magazines, requiring bump stocks to be registered under the National Firearms Act, and banning them for civilian use. It also redefines receiver blanks to require background checks on all sales, strengthens federal offenses for gun trafficking and straw purchases, creates a compensated buyback program between local governments and individuals surrendering such magazines, along with a new tax credit for the sale of safe storage device at home, and penalizes violations of new safe storage requirements on residences.
The House later passed the bill, though it was unlikely to pass the Senate. International Association of Chiefs of Police and Fraternal Order of Police wrote to congressional leadership offering to help work on gun measures. 23rd of June, Senate passed the Bipartisan Safer Community Act with bipartisan support and 65 to 33 vote. 15 Senate Republicans voted to support it. Cool. 24th of June, the House of Representatives passed the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act with a support in 234 to 193. House Republican leaders opposed the bill and called for other House Republicans to similarly oppose, but 14 House Republicans still voted to support.
June 25th, President Joe Biden signed the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act into law. It was the most significant federal gun reform legislation in almost 30 years since the Brady Bill of 93 and the since-expired federal assault weapons ban of 94. Multiple memorials were held in Uvalde and across Texas in commemoration for the victims for the one-year anniversary of the shooting, May 24, 2023. Survivors, family members, and supporters gathered for events such as a 77-minute vigil, which is the amount of time waited outside the classroom by authorities, candlelight vigils, butterfly release, and mariachi performances.
Biden spoke about the anniversary at the White House with 21 candles at the base of the White House grand staircase. Spoke about his frustration and lack of change in gun policy. Similar frustrations was echoed by survivors and family members who waited for investigations and legal cases to finish and policy to change. Many of these topics have caused anger and strife to be seen throughout Uvalde. Most of the anger is because they're freaking law enforcement pussies.
What? How do any of these guys have jobs still that were there?
Ridiculous.
Well, a judge has just reverted an honorable discharge status after challenge.
An honorable discharge? Get out of here.
No, he reverts it. He was fired for cause, had previously wanted to be able to remove a blemish, but the judge put it back on there. Back to a general discharge after a judge ruled in favor of the district's challenge. So he wanted it to be an honorable discharge, but the judge is like, I don't think so. The honorable discharge decision had cleared Arredondo's record in case he wanted another law enforcement job. The new ruling now has closed the case. So bye, you ain't getting another fucking job now, you fucking pussy.
Piece of shit.
All of them. Fuck all these guys. And
ridiculous.
The school district still didn't learn. The one bitch that got fired from the Texas Safety Department or wherever got immediately hired by the school district. Right. Like fucking idiots. Wow. Wow. That's all. Can't take any more of this shit. Check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. And Apple, Spotify, give us a review, comment, like, subscribe, all that shit. And we'll be back next week for some more true crime here on Outlaws and Gunslingers. We are the month of Michigan. Dang.